Hello, this is Dr. Hassan Abdullah with the course Deep Reinforcement Learning. And we are at topic number 2, which is machine learning. And this topic is further divided into three subtopics. That is lecture number 2A, 2B, and 2C. Why this division? Because as we progressively move from lecture 2A to 2B to 2C, the difficulty or the complexity of the content increases correspondingly. So that's the reason. And as before, this video lecture and the next one, they have been developed using the easymcq.com/GoGet, which is a personalized learning management system. The personalized learning management system is accessible using the URL which is given in green color on the screen. Now, how to make use of this learning management system, that is shown in 6 videos, which are given in a URL in blue color on the screen. So there are many wonderful features in this personalized learning management system which are not there in some of the more popular learning management systems, major learning management systems. So this is all possible because of the feedback which has been given by users like you and incorporated into this personal learning management system. So one of the biggest features and useful features is full text in the content available in the learning management system. So you can type in keywords, short, long, advanced, ensuring the order and so on, and get all the contents which is relevant, which is color coded and it's available to you. And then of course, some people may have visual disabilities. So that is not catered in many advanced and major learning management system. So in this easymcq.com, the students or the users have the facility and the ability to change the font type, the font color, the line spacing, and so on to make it more readable, to make it more interactive and more useful, right? And of course, you can also track your progress. For example, which topics you have covered, which subtopics you have covered, and so on. That is there. And of course, you can evaluate your learning and knowledge accumulation through online exams. You can do multiple of exams, and their aggregate scores are recorded and stored. You can access them, and it also identifies the weaknesses. And of course, the data and the content is presented in a hierarchy which saves the space and so on. So I would urge you to look at those videos. So there are two basically learning approaches. One is the traditional learning approach, which is slides based and which has its own limitations. And then is the Q&A, question and answer based learning approach, which is proactive, which is engaging, which is very adaptable, and which is very thought provoking also. And of course, the traditional approach has a lot of details. So the approach which has been followed is a blended approach or blended learning, that is making the best use of the both approaches. So this is the topic which we are covering, and the topic is machine learning. And this topic is further divided into 15 questions and answers. And these 15 questions and answers are basically concepts. So these are the concepts which are being covered, and the concepts in yellow color are covered in this video, which is 2A. So we are at lecture 2A of machine learning for the deep and reinforcement learning course. So we start with what is the classical definition of machine learning by Michel, 1997. Now remember that the word machine learning was first used in 1959. Okay, in the context of that the machines which could kind of program themselves without explicit programming. So this thing is like historically several decades old. So as per the by Michel, basically it is formulated or divided into three parts. One is the experience, then is the task or the task denoted by T, and the performance measure. So that's the way it has been defined, and it was basically defined for recognizing handwritten characters. So in the next Q&A, question number 2, the conceptual framework will go into a lot of detail. So you can see that there's like more than 7 minutes. So we'll go into a lot of details at what actually is machine learning with reference to the learning model and the explainability. So this is the definition, this is the explanation. So what is meant by experience? Experience basically the model gains the experience. Okay, the model, because what is the model? Model is a mathematical representation, and that representation is represented inside the machine through a program or a data structure or an algorithm. It's a combination. So the model gains experience by training on a large data set. Okay, in that particular case was handwritten digits, and they were annotated. Annotated means that they were labeled with their corresponding numeric values. So why it was done? Because it helps it learn the visual patterns. It means the machine and distinguish one digit from another, right? So the machine knows. So the objective is that first of all train the machine based upon what is known, and then present the unknown, and then see how well that model was. Then is the task. This the task. This is I'm talking about the task. The task, the specific task is to correctly identify, okay, and classify the handwritten digits which are from 0 to 9, and which one to identify when presented with the new unseen images, because when the seen images are presented there is no fun in it. Okay, so unseen images, right? And that is the performance measure. So what is the performance measure? The performance measure is, yeah, this is the performance measure. The performance measure is the systems, the performance, the output, the results of the systems are evaluated based upon the accuracy. And what is accuracy? The proportion of correct predictions made, okay, on a separate test, right, data set of the labeled digits. Okay, so that's the performance. And uh, let's go. Yes. So this is basically the definition, right? And it could be email messages also, differentiating spam from ham. All right. So these are the digits, right? And of course these digits are is they're annotated first to train the machine, right? And then of course unseen digits are presented. So if you're interested, here are some more references. All right. So this was a definition of what was supposed to be machine learning. Now this is the fun part. Give the conceptual framework of machine learning model with explainability. So there are quite a few things here. So remember one thing, that at the heart of any of these techniques is data, right? Data driven, and need to prepare the data, right? Is ugly. Data has many issues. It takes a lot of effort, and the problem is that most of the students and the people in the industry, they are trained on databases have very nice data formatted and everything. Real life data has lots of issues, so need to unlearn those things anyway. So data preparation, what involves data preparation? I'm talking about this bullet number one. It involves, of course, collecting the data. It involves cleaning the data. Cleaning the data, for example, business rules could be issue. Cleaning the data, for example, if it's say for example JU, okay, and the date is JU 31. So JU is June or JU is July. So June doesn't have 31 days, so JU is July. So that's data cleansing. And transforming raw data into something meaningful. Transformation could be centigrades to Fahrenheit or Fahrenheit to digits, and transform data into something meaningful, raw data into meaningful. That could be, for example, totaling the sales, that is transforming data into information, and interpretable features also, which can make sense. And of course, this there has to be transparency, and there should not be any biasness in the data. It should be fair, because if there's biasness in the data, if the data has been intentionally biased or it's corrupted, then the results would also be biased. And because without such things, that those models would not be trustworthy, and those models are not going to generate reliable explanations, reliable results, and those things are going to create problems downstream. Downstream means at the next stages. So the model architecture. So model architecture, the machine learning system that is being used. Okay, the machine learning system that is being, there can be many different machine learning systems. And the thing is that there should be a balance between the predictive power of that system and interpretability. Interpretability means that you should be able to make sense out of it. And it should be modular. Modular means you can expand upon it. And of course, this is kind of technical details. And the components should be transparent, and they should be able, you should be able to integrate them. You should be able to explain the mechanisms. You should be able to explain, not interpret, but not what how you know how it's working also. All right. So this these are going to be trade-offs. All right. Then is an explainable layer. What is an explainable layer? This is a component basically, and that is embedded, okay, in the outputs, okay. And because if the humans cannot understand that information, right, then there's no fun in it, okay. So there has to be something, maybe score should be attached to the attention, okay, or maybe the score should be associated with the concept, right. And it has to be, preferably it has to be real time, right. uh, it has to be, say intuitive and interpretable, right, so that the decision making can be done. So let me show the picture what we are talking about. All right, so this is what we are talking about, the explainable layer. So this is the machine learning model. You have the data, you need to clean the data, and then you have to have the features which I mentioned before, and then you select the model, okay. And this is the scoring which I just mentioned a couple of seconds ago. And uh, you deploy a machine learning model to do these things. And the explainable layer, and this layer basically it has these things which can be explained to the humans. Now together with all of this, right, then you have the, so this model is a different model. This is a different model. This is the model which is being used for making the prediction, right. And of course you are still cleaning the data also, and integrating the data also. And then you have the predicted results, okay, prediction using their trained model, and you have the results. So this is how it's working. So we were talking about the explainable layer, right. And then okay, now let's go back. What else is there? So we have the model. After the explainable layer, we have the model training. So what is model training? It basically optimizes. It's not a trade-off. It optimizes the predictive accuracy and the interpretability. So the result should be accurate, and and the human should be able to understand those results. Okay. And of course, there are techniques, right? So that the explainable layer which I showed you, that results into clear predictions, that results into consistent predictions, that results into semantically meaningful output. That's not all. The prediction should also be accurate. Okay, the prediction should also be accurate. All right, just hold on for a sec, please. So then is the prediction phase. So what is in the prediction phase, which I showed you very couple of seconds ago? So what happens in the prediction phase? The trained model processes new unseen input to generate predictions, what it is, classified maybe, and the output should be interpretable. And where the outputs are going to come from the explainable layer. So we have dual outputs, right? And that are going to help in decision support. Okay. So what are the two things which is accurate and explainable at the time when inference is being done or used or needed? So these are quite challenging and complex tasks. So how that explanation is generated? Uh, well, it has to be some user-friendly formats. There has to be some visualizations, or there should be numbers, or there should be text messages. Okay, and because that is going to enhance the transparency, and it's going to help the non-technical people. They are not required to know the mathematics and the statistics. So they has to clarify to them so that they can make some decisions, right? So human interpretation is very important along with the statistics and the algorithms. So what is human interpretation is the understanding of the end user of the results of the model, the explanations, and the insights should be such that they are actionable, right? Not only actionable, they are also context aware, they are also trustworthy. Okay, and that helps the domain experts, not the algorithm expert, domain experts, and the stakeholders also, which may not be domain expert. They could be investors, so they can make informed decisions based upon the outputs of the model. So it is like it's not only technical, but it is human driven also. So I would suggest you read all of this, right, and spend some time matching these explanations with this very nice diagram. And if you're interested, these are the references here available. But the thing is that life is not perfect. Okay, people are not perfect, and some wise person said that life is not fair. Life is very unfair. So get used to it. So these very nice systems, they are going to have some errors also, right? They will have errors. And what are those errors? There can be training errors, there can be test errors, and then there are issues with the capacity of the machine learning models, very nice models which you have developed or you have been using. So what are those errors and how those errors are related? That's what we're going to discuss. So we have the training errors, we have the test errors. So what are training errors? So the training error, try to understand that a model makes while the model is being trained using the certain data set. And what does it reflects? It reflects that how well the model was trained, okay, and how it was trained, how well it learned from the patterns, right, which were in the data and which data was used to train it. And of course, if there is low training error, that is good learning, right? But remember that good learning does not necessarily means good generalization. Generalization is looking at the unseen and accurately predicting what class it belongs to. That's generalization. So we'll talk about generalization. Then the test error. So the test error is related to the unseen data. So of course, so that's generalization because now we are looking beyond the training set. So if there is a small gap between the training and the test error, okay, it means good generalization. I'll show you a graph also. And when there is a large gap, it indicates overfitting. We'll talk about overfitting in more detail also, right? And then is the model capacity. So what is the model capacity? Uh, basically, it means that how well it fits various functions or patterns or its adaptability. So if the model capacity is low, it will underfit complex data. I'll explain it to you what is meant by underfitting, overfitting. And if the model capacity is high, it will risk overfitting. Overfitting means that it will consider the noise in the data as also data, okay? And that's overfitting. So there has to be a balance. There has to be right capacity, okay? And learning without capturing the noise. So let's look at that nice diagram. So if so, this is the generalization error, okay? And this is the training error, which I've explained to you. So if the gap is less, then it is underfitting, and if the gap is more, then that is overfitting. So corresponding to this error, so we would like the error to be reduced, and the capacity is that it should be able to work with various functions or patterns. That is the model capacity. So that is you can call as flexibility. You can call it yeah, you can call it flexibility. So why no so now you understand. We'll talk more about generalization, right, in the next set of in the next maybe like which is lecture 2b. So why do we need k fold cross validation? So how would we know that our results are correct? So need to validate them. That's how we know, right? It's like an exam. So when the instructor gives an exam, the instructor knows the solution. So the student attempts the exam, and the instructor validates it, assigns a grade, and students of course can challenge the grade also. And of course we can have automated grading also. So that is kind of validation. So how do we do and why do we need validation? It's obvious, but we are talking about something more, which is k-fold cross validation. So what is the k4 clause? Let me give you example. First let me explain it. So what is the purpose of this validation? The purpose of this validation is to reduce the variance. Okay, and what is variance? Variance means that what is the spread with reference to the average value. That is the variance. So we would like to reduce the variance. So it's kind of a instead of a very well, I can show you a picture also. So what is basically k-fold validation? So basically what we are trying to do is that we were trying to estimate the averaging results across multiple splits. Which split is the better split? So instead of relying on a single training and test division, Training means that you train on the data, and the test means that you have the labeled data based upon which you know its accuracy. That's not generalization. Generalization is totally unseen stuff. So instead of relying on a single train test division, right? So there are different subsets of a training and test set, different subsets, different divisions, right? And that produce more stable and reliable results, reliable validation, okay? And which is less effective by affected by and which is less sensitive to data partitioning. Number one. Number two is improve the generalization. Improve generalization. So when we are testing the model on unseen data in each fold, right? Each fold, I'll show you the picture so it becomes clear. So K-fold validation simulates the real world scenario. It helps assess that how the model is going to generalize, and this prevents overfitting when the noise also becomes data. And of course, we will be seeing the performance across diverse distributions of the input, right? And what else? Efficient data use. Uh, so basically, what happens is that the same data, is being used for training and testing. That maximizes the value of the limited data, because getting the data of large volume is a challenging task and expensive task, and and this helps when the data sets are small, okay, and you don't have the resources also. And of course, you need to select a certain model also. I'll show you a picture and this will become very clear. So what is the model selection? Okay, so that it is consistent and it is fair, and then you are averaging the metrics, right? So that prevents the risk of using a model that only works for a certain division, right? So let me show you the picture. So this is all the nice uh, description you will be reading. So this is the full training data, okay? So this is this is one fold which consists of, this is the test, this is the training, okay? So performance for iteration number one. And in the second iteration, this is the training, and this is the test, and these are the training one. So you see that the data is divided and the test set is different across all the iterations, right? And then you look at the performance and average the performance. So whatever I discussed, shared with you before, that is basically shown here in this picture. And of course, if you're interested in knowing more, this is the nice stuff. Okay. So we would like to, you know, there are different types of machine learning techniques, right? And one of those techniques is basically you would like to divide the data into, say, clusters, right, or classes. It depends upon how you're looking at it. So discriminant basically, if you look in the dictionary, the word discriminant means kind of separating things, okay? So what do the discriminant functions do? The discriminant functions, there are different discriminant functions that divide the data, okay? In one context this is called as clustering, and in one context it is called as classification also. So basically there are different types of discriminant functions. So they are linear discriminant functions which divide that space using straight boundaries or straight lines. And then there are quadratic discriminant functions which do that using quadratic functions. So they are kind of flexible. And then there are logistic discriminant and then neural network. So let me first show you a diagram or a picture, and then we'll go into more details. So these are the different types of those functions, right? So this is the linear discriminant function, right? This is the quadratic one, and this one is just this is the logistic, and this is the neural network. So this is a linear discriminant function. So you see straight lines. So it divides. So these basically are three classes. Okay, these are three classes, and the colors are assigned for the sake of comprehension. We are not aware of those classes. So based upon their statistical properties, the linear discriminant function classified them like this because this is straight line. So you can see that this class has been incorrectly assigned to the the red class has been incorrectly assigned to the blue class. And this is the quadratic discriminant function. So it discriminates. This has done a better job. As you can see that there is misclassification also, but because of the quadratic nature of that function, as you can see, the misclassification is significantly less in quadratic discriminant function as compared to the linear discriminant function. Okay. So what is the linear discriminant function? It assumes class distribution, okay, which are Gaussian and which has equal covariances. So it finds linear boundaries, which I have shown you, between the classes, and it is trying to project or maximize the class separation because it wants to discriminate, okay, while minimizing intra-class variance. So within the class, the variance should reduce, and across the class, it should be more. So the good thing is that it is easy to interpret. Okay, it is efficient, and of course, it works when the classes are linearly separable. But in real life, linearity is rare. Okay, it is not something which is very common. And then I'm sorry, we are this bullet quadratic discriminant. Okay, or discrimination. Quadratic basically relaxes the linear discriminant analysis. Okay, by allowing the covariance is not the same, but different covariances across different classes. So this results into a boundary which is quadratic or curved, which I showed you. So this is more flexible and it kind of fits better complex distributions, but it requires more processing, it requires more parameters, it requires more data. So the problem is that it can result in overfitting for small data sets. All right, so logistic discriminant function is kind of a different one. So what it does is that it estimates the class probabilities based upon the linear function features. So it is good for binary or multi-class tasks. Okay, binary means either in this one or that one. Okay, or and the outputs can be interpreted probabilistically. So what is the probability that it is for the binary probability? So it supports regularization, which is a complete topic in this course, and for better generalization. So I've mentioned what generalization is. So we were looking at logistic discriminant analysis, and then is the neural network. So in neural network, okay, so there are multiple non-linear transformations. So non-linearity is the reality, and non-linear transformations of input features, and then there are scores assigned that form complex yet flexible decision boundaries. So those decision boundaries, okay, have are more flexible as compared to quadratic ones. So neural networks excel with unstructured data and of course work with large data sets. But the training has to be careful and you require a lot of computational resources. And what is the benefit? The benefit is that tackling non-linearity and large data sets. So I would suggest you read all this stuff, try to understand this and match this with this, which I've done for you. So that is all for the lecture 2A of deep and reinforcement learning, which is machine learning. Thank you.